Moving into day two here, we're going to be looking at, again, the future of ecom traffic, but specifically talking now about the AI workflows to create content that's high quality and to do that every day and content that actually brings buyers. And like I said, this is a very unpopular method, okay? Everyone jumps on paid ads. That's what the majority of the market does because it's easy to do, right? It's easy to get started with, and everybody else is talking about it, but it's not easy to scale and make work in the long run and makes you very, very vulnerable. And another thing which has made this a challenge is that AI has come along, and all you see every day is ads about how you can press a button and AI is going to run your business for you. Okay. And so there's people out there selling this dream that AI can run a business. Okay. It cannot. There's no business that is run by AI. It does not exist in any way. Okay. And so this is something to be aware of. And actually, what most things in AI do for your business is they're often helping you with inconsequential things, right? Making some things a little bit faster, a little bit easier, but not necessarily moving the needle. What you really need to focus on in your business if you want to get big results is you want to be looking for the transformational changes that you can make in your business, which is something that's going to 10x, 20x, 5x, right? Whatever it might be, but have a really high level of impact on your business. One thing that most people don't realize is what's one simple way that you could 10x your business is to do 10x the amount of output. Okay. That's transformational. And people aren't leveraging AI in a way to get a transformational output. Okay. Increasing the volume is only one part of it, which, could drastically increase things, but AI does make it possible to drastically increase volume. However, AI is actually making things way more difficult here. And the reason why is there's so many tools, everyone has access to it, so there's no advantage. There's a lot of false claims of people saying it's super easy. Okay. You need to be able to scale much faster now. There's an increase in competition. You also need to give the AI a lot of oversight. It changes every single week. It needs training. It also doesn't know everything, and so it makes the average and also makes a lot of mistakes. And so while it's both powerful, it's also difficult. Okay. And it's also forcing every single person to make use of this technology, which grows at a crazy, crazy fast rate. And so you need to put yourself in a place where you can actually leverage that and not actually fall behind. Okay. And so I can tell you that I haven't worked harder since I started my business. And when AI came out, it essentially meant that we had to move way, way, way faster. And, you have to recognize that that is a situation happening right now. And these opportunities don't come along very often. And this is a point where you can really move ahead. Okay. But what most AI implementations are about, and when you see kind of fancy workflows that are posted online, and you might have seen, say, some of these crazy like NAN, let's just say NAN Pinterest automation, okay, and you'll find like videos online about how to, create things with Pinterest or whatever it might be, and you'll have these like big automations that have been set up, and they might require code and things like this, and there are all multiple steps, and you have to have like decent level of technical understanding to implement this sort of stuff. And it looks really cool. It's like, hey, there's this workflow that can automate your business, but often these don't work. They're built with random prompts or simple prompts. The AI isn't trained, and it looks like it will do something good. But when you look at what comes out of that, it isn't actually anything useful or anything that will set you ahead. And so what you actually need is to find proven existing systems. And when we're talking about content, we're talking about content systems in this context, but you need these proven systems that are actually going to work. And so the way that we approach these things is we find something that's already working, and then we bring in AI just to start making the steps either faster or improving the quality, right? And then being able to do this at scale and maybe with fewer people, okay? Or ultimately at a much higher volume. And so this is what it's about, and this should be the approach. And you need to be very, very wary of just kind of randomly jumping onto a shiny object because there's some new tool out which promises a bunch. And we review and check tools on a regular basis. And most of them, they're just what we call ChatGPT wrappers. There's no thought, there's no expertise. It's just putting a software envelope around what ChatGPT already does. And it gives you no advantage and actually could actually be really hurting your business. Okay. So we're going to look at some examples of what it means to see the difference between good content and bad content and the processes which fall into place when it comes with AI. And so you might be thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't even use AI for content. Maybe it's not going to make good stuff that's good enough. Okay. But ultimately, okay, human content versus AI content is always going to be beaten by human plus AI. Okay. So, so human, right, is good. AI is maybe mediocre. Okay. And AI is actually probably better than the average human, but you're probably not going to hire the average person to create your content, for example. You probably hire a professional, so they're going to do reasonably good, but it'll be expensive. Okay. And so AI is kind of mediocre, right, and cheap. Okay. It is better than the average person, but it's not better than, say, a professional. And so a human is good, right, but expensive, where here you get the best of both worlds. You get essentially great, fast, and low cost when you combine them together. And where does the human fall into this? Well, the human falls into it in the design of the system and also the use of the system. Okay, and so you could probably take any system and then manage to mess it up if you direct it in a poor way. Okay, but also, if you just take a regular AI like ChatGPT and you use it and you don't have expertise, it's probably not going to do anything good for you. Okay, so at the same time, if the AI has been designed with a high level of skill for the particular task, it's going to do a lot better. Okay, so think about it this way. How was AI trained? And so we've just put out an article on our AmpiFire blog about how AI was trained. Okay. And there's some interesting things here. So we found out from interviewing people who worked in the AI training companies that were typically paid a very, very low wage. They were not experts. So what we found is that you had underpaid, inexperienced people training AI models. So let's say they wanted to train AI on being an accountant. They would take someone who had graduated with an accountancy degree but never worked as an accountant. So would you just type in the chat, would you consider someone who's got a degree but never worked in the real field as an expert? Okay, would you consider them someone with maybe above average knowledge? Okay, so they're certainly not an expert, as everyone agrees. They probably have above average knowledge on accounting. And so that means that if the AI is taught on it, AI is going to be able to do some good accounting, plus it can read everything on the internet. But it's going to be nowhere near as good as a professional accountant with, say, a couple of decades of experience. Okay. So one, it's not trained very well. It's got access to massive knowledge, which is fantastic, but that it's very difficult for it to understand which knowledge is best. And so it becomes an average of all of the information that's out there. Okay. And so it's almost the fact that if it's said more often, then it might even be true. And so AI can't learn fully from all of the information that's out there because it doesn't know what's the best information. It's trained by experts that are, below or trained by people that aren't experts and are just maybe a little bit above average in the thing which they're doing. And so AI then has limitations because of this. And that means that, for example, if you ask AI to write an article, then it's not going to do well because it's being trained by non-experts. And it continues to be trained by non-experts because people give AI like a yes or a no of like what's good content, but what you personally like might not be what actually works. Okay. And so let's compare the difference. So for good content, which works for us, we answer buyer questions with specific solutions. They have a problem, we give the answer, we get potential buyers. AI will come up with, and I'll give you an example of this in a moment, generic content and advice and these magazine style broad topics. It doesn't work in the vast majority of types of content which you will create, whether it's video scripts, whether it's articles, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, Good content will be written for humans and the algorithms in the context of how it's found. So that means like if it's for search, it's gonna be found through search, then the content will be written for the people arriving from that search and also for the algorithms that then need to understand that content in order to be able to rank it. The bad content written by AI in general is written without a content strategy for a specific platform. It doesn't really understand the context of what it's being used for and tends to make poor, uneducated guesses. And you're going to see this in a moment. And one example of that is the fact that if you ask it for a blog content, it's going to write it as if it's writing for a magazine, which has, a load of subscribers already. If you are making good content, the content will be created in a way that's native to the platform you're going to publish on, as in it's going to fit in, it's going to be optimized for that platform and optimized for the algorithm. Whereas, the bad content is going to have problems with how it's written. For example, one very, very common one is the AI language pattern. So you probably heard the phrase navigating a lot when you read AI content, and navigating the something landscape is a really common AI phrase, which you don't want to appear in your content, right? Along with many of the other hundreds of phrases which AI comes up with and overuses, which is a signal to algorithms that it's AI content. Also, strategically leads the buyer further to the product brand ecosystem. In other words, it's taking them closer to making a sale, sending them to the website, this sort of thing. Whereas content that's written by AI, it doesn't really understand what you want to do, where you want to drive them to, and what kind of the psychology, the persuasion, and all of these things are. And so it's written based on a lot of assumptions about what might work, about how content should be written based on the average of what it seems. And it's not an algorithmic science. So, for example, we're always testing, is the content we're doing, is it something that's actually working with the algorithms? Are the algorithms reacting to this? And we go back and we tweak it and we keep testing and we keep improving it. You're not going to get that out of ChatGPT. Okay. You also need to add data, research, or opinions. Otherwise, you have content, information, and data decline across the entire internet, where AI is just rehashing the same information and just making it a little bit worse each time. Okay, and so that's what typical AI content does. Whereas you need to actually give context, tell it what to focus on, give it certain information, okay? Give it your own research or opinions, okay? Or allow it to do its own research and have that sort of process so that it's not just kind of taking the first little bits of information that it gets, okay? And you can actually structure this in a very, very powerful way, okay? So, for example, you might have seen, and we can give you a link to this at the end, is we have our brand DNA project, which isn't on here, but let me just find it real quick. So our DNA extractor, here we go. So we have this AmpiFire DNA extractor, which if you go through this and answer some questions, okay, it's going to pull out key information on your brand. What's really important though is that you have other platforms that will create like a brand voice and topics and pull out kind of brand information and ask you about tone and things like this. However, it's completely wrong because what happens is companies come in, they use an AI tool, they create kind of like a brand document or what we call like a brand content DNA document. And it's got all of these instructions in on how to write the content that are completely and utterly wrong. As in, the brand is not an expert on content marketing, and they say that the voice should be, say, friendly, or it should be, hypey or something else, but they don't actually know what really works, and they're just making guesses. And then as a result, it doesn't work. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons for failure that we see is often brands getting in their own way and changing the process and saying, we want to do it this way. And you ask them why, well, it's like, this is just the way that we've done it. This is what our brand's about. This is really important. You ask them why, they can't give you an answer. They're just doing it because they think it's something that they should do, and someone in the company said it, and then it was taken as gospel, and they don't recognize, right, what actually has an impact. So this content DNA document creator will actually guide you to stop you from doing some of those things and doesn't put instructions into the final content, which would put your entire project at risk if it was to use this information. Instead, it uses this to actually do what it's supposed to, which is adding specific opinions, data, information, points of view, okay, ways to phrase and speak so that your audience can resonate with it. And that is a way to enhance your content because you're putting your ideas, information, and data into the content and not just letting it do something generic, okay? And it's not done in a way which is just completely wrong because most brands, most people, most marketers don't actually understand all of the different algorithms out there, how AI writes and how it interprets content and what actually information that you need to give it. Okay. Um, and I'll tell you like this brand DNA extract, we won't demo it right here. But I've done this before and it comes out absolutely brilliant. It comes out absolutely brilliant with the information, content, angles, and basically encouraging the AI to say and speak in a certain way that will definitely benefit your brand, but is adding value to the content, which is what it's about. And so the difference with this is like literally your traffic will drop hard if you use ChatGPT for content. You might get away with it for a little while. You might see an initial increase, but you'll probably find over time that if you don't have the experience and the expertise to know what is great content and what gets huge results and what scales, you're going to use it in a way which just doesn't work. Whereas if you use a process where you're writing great content, where it's being trained properly, where it knows what to do and it's using a proven workflow, then you can see absolutely insane traffic increases from doing this. So this is really, really important. And I'm just going to compare here um, what ChatGPT does. Okay, so if I ask inside of ChatGPT to give me 5 ideas, it actually does a little bit better depending what topic I choose in history, because we work with clients and our team uses like this particular account. And so they've actually fed our ChatGPT with information because ChatGPT has some memory. And so ChatGPT has been learning from our team and got a little bit better. And so if I type in, say, some topics that would be, say, from some of our clients, and I say to give me some ideas in that niche, it does better. And so I've wanted to control this. And so in order to control this, I'm using Poe's version of ChatGPT, which doesn't have any of our memory or anything in there, just to see the difference between the two. But here I asked ChatGPT to come up with some ideas. And from yesterday's session, you will probably see if we go through this, there's really only about one piece of content which would actually work here. Okay, so these all seem like good ideas, but there's really only one or two which would work. Okay, and all of them are not great. And so most of them are too high competition. Some of them are not really inside the buyer journey. Okay, and some of them are just very vague. It's not something that people would really search for, and the optimization of the titles is pretty poor as well. Okay, if we were writing an article, say for Google, we're going to look at videos, all of these sorts of things. Okay, um, and so again, the other chat GPT inside of Poe has done very, very similar topics. But what's one of the reasons I also wanted to show you this is that here's me as one user of ChatGPT. Here's me as another user of ChatGPT. And bear in mind, ChatGPT powers most of the AI writing tools and content tools that are out there. They shouldn't use ChatGPT if they know what they're doing because ChatGPT isn't the best at marketing and the best at content. So it's already a red flag for me when a company primarily uses ChatGPT to create content and has been for a long time. It just simply means they never tested which is the best technology to write with, and it depends on the specific task. All right. So all of the different AI models have different things that they're good at. But if we look at it, if we've got how coffee is made, okay, so that was also how to make coffee here. So you got the exact same subject, brewing coffee at home. All right, this is brewing coffee at home. Okay, So again, the same subject, coffee and health, what science says. Coffee health benefits, what science says. Okay, exploring coffee around the world. Uh, that one it doesn't have in the other one. And sustainable coffee, it doesn't have sustainable coffee in the other one. But three out of the five topics were exactly the same when I asked this question, right, as two different users on two different platforms. So one of the problems when you use these tools is you get the exact same information as everybody else when you're using such a widely popular tool that is used by the vast majority of people, and the vast majority of tools out there also use ChatGPT, and you're all getting the same answers, and you're all going to create the same type of content. So you're all going to compete with each other, and you're all going to lose because all of these subjects have been done so many times already, they're just not worth doing. Okay. But let's see how it goes and writes the article. So I've told it to go and write cold brew versus iced coffee and what's the difference. So it's gone ahead and produced an article which looks pretty reasonable. It is a guide on how to the difference between cold brew and iced coffee. So great. I always ask to review the work and improve, okay, which is gone and done. That's an important step because the AI tends to cut corners and won't look at all of its knowledge and everything the first time around. Less useful when you're just asking ChatGPT to do it because it doesn't really have anything to review against except its own knowledge base, but you will see a slight improvement when you do ask it to improve. Now I'm going to show you what we made inside of Cloud using our own process. So this is actually reading some important guidelines that we've created in a custom project. I'm going to give you access to this so you can go build it yourself. So this isn't like the ultimate content maker, but it's got some really good instructions in here. So it first starts off creating an outline. Okay, then it does some fact checking, then it writes the article. And you can see, if we just compare this, can you see how this article is drastically already better? Okay, just in terms of how it's structured, it's got a table in here. Okay, and it just is a little bit more detailed. And if we were to go through and read this, you'll see that it's written in a better way. Then we ask it to review and improve. It does this even further and improves the writing style as well. And it's still doing important things like, for example, asking a question and then answering in a specific format what iced coffee really is. Iced coffee is hot coffee that got cold. This particular structure is very simple for AI to follow, for example. This allows AI to use your source as an answer. It allows Google to use your source as an answer. They love tables, they love information. So there's a lot of things which are being put into this. And this content is strikingly better. And if, for example, we take the content which we got here from ChatGPT, all right, so we'll copy this over. We can go put this into an AI checker. So 0GPT to check for AI content now. You can go read on the AmpiFire blog that these tools are not 100% accurate. They're not super useful. But for me, they give a little bit of an indication of maybe how kind of overused or how much minimal thought has gone into the content. So usually with a higher AI score, so even, we looked yesterday at some of the content on Jasper's website, which they presumably made with their own tool, and it was coming out 99%. So here it's coming out 75%. Okay, straight out of AI. So it is AI generated, but it's like a 75% score. So, to get something 100%, you have to really be trying to mess it up in a really, really big way to get a score that high, which for some reason, that's actually more common than you think. But, 75%, this score isn't really here or there in terms of like, is this good or bad content? This just maybe gives you an indication of the overall effort in the process that typically, like as the score goes down, it correlates with, not perfectly, but it correlates a little bit with the effort that was put into the content through the process and the person running it. But, even without doing any edits on this content here, right, we can just take this and copy it and we'll see let's just see the difference in score just for AI detection. Okay. So the article is also a little bit longer, and this one comes out at 40%. Okay. And it says it contains mixed signals with some parts generated by AI. So essentially, it can't really tell 100% either way. Okay. And we also encourage it to write also in a specific format which tends to get picked up as AI more just because it's more informationally structured. So the goal isn't to remove AI scoring, the goal is to get the result. But you can see here, just comparing the two, if you just take it based on AI score, then this process is already better. Okay, so we've got a few things that we put in this. This is a very, very simple process. So it's nothing like what we use internally with like our own tools and what we've built. It's a simple version that you can set up in about 5 minutes, but it gives you an advantage over everybody else that's say just using ChatGPT. So it's got a custom prompt, which you can see is pretty straightforward, but it's got some important resource files on how to write the content, okay, which makes a difference. And so sometimes prompts don't need to be big, okay, but you do need to give it specific instructions. For example, write using natural language processing, but this is to create content for Google and for AI citations, okay? It's not, say, for YouTube, all right? And so this is the idea that you create content that works for the specific platform. And so, Jay, I think you've got some real world examples of this where you kind of see, from when you've been speaking with businesses and clients and also just doing your own research, where you've seen the impact of this firsthand, because you see this a lot with businesses that you talk with, right?
Yeah, 100%. So let me just, can I share my screen? Is that cool? So, and before I do this real quick, just a bit of context. So we we have lots of ecom businesses that come to us, like Chris mentioned, who are struggling with their organic. They don't know what's going on. And when we investigate, we find out actually there's some cool stuff that we can share with them. We can, in some cases they're doing really well. And in some cases, they're completely screwing it up, right? And so, of course, every business that starts and wants to grow and gets to that level, they don't want to intentionally do bad shit, right? They just don't know any better, right? And that's the key thing to note here. So I got on a call with an ecom client based in the UK, and just to caveat that, so we mainly work in the US, right? But we work all over the world now. I'd say the majority of people we take on is in the US, just because that's where the market is. But more and more businesses now are sort of reaching out to us all over the world. One of them is the UK in terms of places. And this business was actually really interesting. So they reached out through a connection of ours and said, "Oh, well, we're struggling with organic. We don't know what's going on. Um, can you check it out?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And that's normally how we approach this. It's always like, we don't know if we're going to work together yet, but I'm happy to jump on and leave you in a better spot than I found you, right? And that's always a key thing. But let me just share the screen real quick, if that's cool with you guys. Just let me know you can see this. You want to give me a couple of ones in the chat if you can see the screen? Yeah, just a few will do if you can. If that's all right with you. Thank you, Nicole. Barbara, as always, bam, first to the draw. Silas and Stacy. Good to see you, Stacy. We've been referencing you a lot. You've been killing it with the strategy, so that's awesome to see. Anyway, so this is Glow Packaging, right? So this is a client who's happy for me to share their brand because I mean no one's going to start up a packaging company overnight. These guys are big business, right? In the UK, they're a part of a huge group, and the owner, despite being quite difficult to start, is actually a very nice guy, right? And he's happy and open, and he's like, do what you need to do. It's part of an industrial Indian family originally, but that's why he's sort of consolidated what he's doing. They've established themselves. And when I had the conversation with these guys, it was a really funny chat because, in like I said originally, he was quite skeptical because I said to him, "Look, what are you doing for content?" And he's like, we have a blog, as always, right? That's always how it starts." And I was like, "Okay, cool. So can we take a look?" And before we do that, I'm like, "How's your organic traffic going at the moment?" And he's like, "Well, it could be better." And I said, "Okay." He wasn't opening up. He's a bit cagey. And I said, "Who's your biggest competitor? Who's the competitor that is a pain in your butt?" Right? So give me a five in the chat if you understand, and you can feel that energy of who is a pain in your butt, straight to it, right? Who is and it's always a competitor. And Chris, you and I talk about this all the time, right? It's always a competitor who's killing it and they don't know why. And it really drives them nuts, right? They're getting huge amounts of organic traffic, lots of business, but we can't figure out what they're doing, right? And when you can open that up and say, "Oh, we can actually, investigate properly," right? Not, high level, whatever, we can actually dig into it and see what's going on. And so they said there's a company called Kite Packaging. And by the way, Chris, can I show the competitor tool real quick? Is that okay? Can I showcase that? Yeah. So we actually have a tool. It's called the AmpiFire competitor comparison tool. We built this over years, right? And what this does, it takes businesses like let's say this one, which is Globe, that's the client. So when I first spoke to them, this is what I did. So I put, everyone can see that. Should I zoom in a bit? There we go. So you put the URL of any business, and underneath you can put what's the max? I think up to 10 or something like that. But you can put quite a few. I mean, 10 would be too much, I think, but roughly five is always a good thing. But what I did was I took Kite Packaging. They said, these guys, I don't know what they're doing, Jay, but whatever they're doing is absolutely killing it. And I was like, all right, well, let's take a look, right? So I put them in and simply went submit. So we built this over time, and this is a brilliant tool, right? So I'd recommend anyone try this out to just to see what your competitors are doing. And those guys, like I said, who are driving you nuts, it's like, how? What are they doing? What's their secret sauce, right? And so just give me a one if you can see this clearly, guys. You guys can see this? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So you've got glow packaging, right? And then it emerges. It's quite clear what's going on here, right? So what do you notice on this screen? I'm going to hint you a little bit. I'm going to, because there's lots of data points here. But what do you see that's striking? Because, and I'll help you out here. So the organic traffic, obviously we'll talk about that. Domain authority is roughly the same. Backlinks total, roughly the same, right? Negligible differences, referring pages, roughly the same. So you know when everyone talks about backlinks, and that has its own place, right? But really, what's actually happening here? What's the biggest thing that you guys notice? Even referring IPs, roughly in line. What do you notice? Number one, obviously, the organic traffic for kite packaging is ridiculously higher, right? We're talking about 10x easy, probably more, or just about. So someone says brand mentions. Yeah, that's definitely one thing. But what's going to increase your brand mentions, generally speaking? Obviously, offsite stuff and publishing content everywhere. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. What else? I'm looking for something very specific here. And if you guys get this, I'm telling you, bam, you'll understand the whole concept that we've been trying to nail in here. Let's see. I'm on a different screen today, so it's not as big. So I'm gonna have to zoom in. Index pages. There we go. So that's nailed it. Exactly that. Index pages. But it's both, right? It's brand mentions and index pages. Because if you have more brand mentions, what does that tell you? Well, that tells Google directly and anyone else looking at this as a bigger picture that if you're mentioned in more places, then you're naturally going to be a better business because you're worth mentioning, right? And then if you're worth mentioning and you've got more index pages, which means more content typically, some of these are going to be SKUs, SKUs, right? For ecom in particular. But generally speaking, a lot of these are going to be actual pages, right? In terms of content pages, right? And if you have more of those and you have more brand mentions, bam, now we're talking. This is a business that's active, that's actively putting content out and actively, being mentioned all over the internet. Give me a five if that makes sense. And that's literally the foundational piece that we're talking about here, right? And that's a very, very important thing to understand. So that tells Google straight away you're popular for a reason. It's like humans. If someone's very popular, they're going to be popular for a reason. There's going to be some substance there, right? And so anyway, when I showed this to them, what do you think they said? And I'll tell you just to cut to the chase, because Chris is going to be on my case to speed this up. But they said, "What the hell? Really? How have they got so many pages?" And I'm like, "Well, let's look at your blog first and see the number of pages you have, which is obviously 1,646. By the way, which isn't, sorry, no, actually it's the other way around, right? So they've got way more pages. And I was like, well, why do you think you've got less traffic despite having more pages?
Yeah, and so this is what you want to pay attention to here is
And this is
if
massive,
you
right?
um if you look at all of the stats here, then the site that should have the most traffic is Globe
Yeah, 100%.
because
Yeah.
they've got roughly about the same on everything. They're only slightly behind on brand mentions, and they've got tons of pages, 18,000 pages, yet for some reason they're not getting anywhere near the traffic yet. Normally you would see this the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
kite packaging has much fewer pages, yet has 10 times the traffic. So with one-tenth of the pages, one-tenth the amount of content, it has 10 times the traffic. It doesn't make sense, right? It's doing 100 times better. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And so just to be clear, normally when we run this, it's because we put it in bar charts and stuff like that. My brain fries when I see lots of data points, but normally, yeah, you have more index pages, therefore more traffic, right? But with these guys, it's the other way around. But actually, that's a blessing in disguise because what it tells you is that the pages that they do have indexed are having more of an impact, right? And the question becomes why. So give me a one if you understand why that question's so important, real quick, and I'll jump into it. Yeah, just to clarify. Okay, perfect. So when I investigated, I was like, okay, let's look at your blog. And I went in and I saw this, right? There's lots of things wrong with this. We're not going to get into all of that, right? Chris and I have absolutely massacred this blog. So I won't get into that. But if you look at it, what's the first thing that strikes you? This one in particular. Let's look at this one here. 7 office organization ideas that really boost productivity. Wow. Yay. Boosting productivity organization ideas, there's going to be lots of people searching for that, right? Clearly, not ever, right? It's not useful. Like we were saying yesterday, the topic choice is terrible. And if I go down, you can see I mean, the image is okay, they're not bad. But it's a terrible, terrible choice. And when I showed this to the CEO, Chris, I don't know if I told you this, you know what he did? He turned to his content guy who was actually on the call and he was like this. He was like, "Who the hell? Who did this? Who wrote this piece of content?" And I was like, "It's all right, guys, don't worry." But he was that angry. He was like, "Oh my God!" And he got it. He immediately got it. But then I said, "Okay, so your biggest competitor is obviously Kite. So let's look at what they're doing and why the pages that they have, despite being, um, in terms of less than what you've got and what they've put out, why is it having more of an impact?" So I went on their blog, and it becomes immediately apparent, right? So, for example, if I come out of this, what do you see here? So compare this title and this blog piece here, 7 office organization ideas that really boost productivity, with this one. Let's say, and this is the latest one, right? So we can pick 6th of November, this one here, based on what we've been talking about. Anyone, if you want to put it in the chat? It's what we've been discussing, right? It's answering a very specific question, giving the audience what they want, and giving a shit about actually, taking time to write all this out. If you look at the,
If you were looking for tape to
yeah,
buy before
yeah.
painting, it might be a question you might ask, right?
Well, it's definitely a question you'll ask, right? And I hate DIY, so I'll be at the top of that list. I can admit that, right? But if you go down, and you know what's funny is just to put this to the test, if I take this, and this is what is remarkable, Chris. I don't know if I showed you this, but if I take this, right, and I put it into zero GPT, just like we did yesterday, just to finish the point off conclusively, right? Look at this. You'd think, oh, is it AI? Is it not AI? But let's take a look. Bang, 65%. That's a really good percentage, right, Chris? For a good piece of content with a
Yeah,
really good image placement,
and
headlines.
looking at it, I can see, it's AI content. It's probably 95%, maybe even 100% AI content. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's AI content if it's done in the right way. And I mean, they have made some customization because I think you had the guy in the brand shirt there in one of the images.
Well, at the
So they
bottom.
are doing little things like, improving the images, and they probably have proofread it, things like this, which, we always recommend. But
I
it's
mean, it
still,
could be better though, right? You could
yeah, I
have
mean,
consistent
it's not the
takeaways.
best type of content, but it's still overall great. There are a couple of things that it could be doing better and that it's missing. But still, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? As long as it's overall better than what most of the things which are out there.
Yeah, but my point is they're going so deep into this because they care. They give a shit about the audience and what they're looking for. For example, what is the best tape for painting we just looked at? They've also got what are the different types of tape and which should you use? And they've
Mhm.
bothered to go out of their way to create an entire piece of content even on that. What counts as adhesive tape, packaging tape types, So it's very, very specific. And they've done this over and over and over again. And that's what is producing this result, which is despite having more pages, Glow Packaging, the client that we took on, has got far, far less traffic. And this is why. And it's a
And
clear.
I've already made a little graph here as well.
Oh, you done one?
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm stealing the screen back.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, man.
But yeah, I just pasted the image into ChatGPT, asked for a graph, and said, let's compare the pages versus organic traffic. And so you can see here, this business, they've created tons of pages and have barely any traffic, and here they've created barely any pages and have got tons of traffic. Okay, so I mean, they've put in like literally what, like 10 times, 20 times the effort with the amount of content and got like 1/10 of the results. Okay. So it's like this company is literally getting 100x bigger result per piece of content than this company down here. And this is why the workflow, why the type of content you make is so, so important. And you have to be so careful when you come in and just use ChatGPT to create content or come in and use any of these AI tools, because most of the AI tools don't know how to create content for any of the different formats, which work really well. So just to give you like another quick example, and we'll give you these tools. So I'll just do yeah, we can use the amped video script generator here, and we'll compare that to just a normal script that comes out. And so
And
again,
as you do that, Chris, just real quick, just to finish that off. The funny thing is that imagine the owner, the CEO of an ecom business who's been building this blog up, paying a
Mhm.
company to do it. You know what we said to him? He was like, "Well, what do I do?" And then he immediately got it. He goes, "Well, what do you recommend?" And I said, "Delete the blog, delete the entire blog."
Yeah,
And guess what he said? He's like, "Let's do that." Imagine years and years of work, and they had so many pages on there. But yeah, anyway, sorry, Chris. I just thought I'd finish that off. It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, and that's something that people don't realize is putting bad content out, it hurts you. The algorithms turn against you, and once they turn against you, it's very hard to persuade them in the opposite direction. So with Google, this doesn't really work, say, for example, on YouTube, but on Google, you can delete all of the content. And in a few weeks, Google normally catches up and goes, "Oh, you're actually paying attention to what is actually crap content, and you got rid of it." So then they start rewarding you with a bit more content if you have, sorry, with a bit more traffic if you have good content. All right, that's left over. All right, so let's just quickly look at like this tool here. So I'm going to just say, let's write a script on um, what was some of the things we were looking at yesterday. Let's do it on this topic here. So we'll do cold brew versus iced coffee. Okay, and we're just kind of seeing the skills of these two different systems. So you've got, and let me do this in Poe. So I'll do another ChatGPT chat in Poe. So this is the same as ChatGPT. It just means it doesn't have, let me just say it's a video script. And I'm going to even help it out and say it's for YouTube, okay, to give it a little bit of extra context. And it's going to go ahead and write the script here. And it just doesn't have any of our training or any of our knowledge inside of this. Okay. And so it's gone ahead and written the script here using ChatGPT. Okay, this one's done a podcast. Okay, so again, so we'll just say for a YouTube video, so it knows it's not for a podcast. And this scripting normally, like if you go through the process, is going to ask you the type of different content that you want to create and all of these different things. Okay, so I'm just going to specify not a podcast. Okay, okay, not a podcast, but a short, just to keep it fair as well. I'll do that on the other one here. Okay, so we'll use the exact same prompt. So we'll start another chat. And then here we go. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got coming out here. So you on camera, cold brew versus iced coffee. They look the same, but they're not the same. Here's a difference in under a minute. Iced coffee is just hot coffee. Cold brew is never heated, and so on and so on. Okay, so let's see here. Cold brew and iced coffee aren't the same thing, and one has way more caffeine. Okay, so already like the opener is a key thing here. So this has worked more heavily on the hook. It's only a small, subtle difference, okay? And it's not like ChatGPT is clueless on how to do this. It has also done a hook here. So it says cold brew versus iced coffee. They look the same, but they're not the same. Here's the difference in under a minute, okay? Um, Whereas here it's like, well, if you drink coffee, you're interested in the caffeine, and it's saying one has way more, right? So, and it hasn't given you an the answer. So it's giving you a specific hook to wait for the answer. So that already is stronger. So cold brew is brewed with cold water, 24 hours smooth, but iced coffee is just regular payoff. So if you want smooth, strong, cold brew, if you want classic, go iced coffee. Which ones are you picking? Drop it below. Okay, whereas here, let's just have a look. So which one are you picking? Team GoPro or Team Iced Coffee? So I would also say drop your choice in the comments and hit subscribe for more. So you shouldn't do that in a short. There's not really room for asking people to subscribe. And so the CTA needs to be a little bit faster. Okay, so like overall, this has done significantly better. And if we just load it up again, and you were to go through the actual process here with this, so if we started a new chat, opened up another one here, and you say, help me write a video script, it's actually going to take you through a process as well, okay, to do this, which is, much more effective. And again, this is just a free tool just to help you to get a better output than what you would get with ChatGPT. But every little edge that you get with your content is what makes a difference because there's so much competition that you ultimately have to pierce through the noise. Okay, there's so much competition, there's so much content going out there. You need to make it better in some way than everything else. Okay, so any improvement gives you a little bit of an edge. So if you're using ChatGPT on its own, this is what we call kind of like level zero, right? It's just not going to work. If you have experience and you're an expert, then you can train the AI, okay? Or you can at least maybe try and change the AI, train the AI with materials from experts. The issue with this is you can take expert instructions, materials, like you could say, take a podcast, like you could take the recording and the transcript of like everything Jay and I have talked about over the past couple of days, and you could give it to AI and it's going to do a better job than normal. Um, but being able to create very precise instructions and custom prompts also takes a little bit of a skill. If you overload an AI with loads and loads of instructions, it doesn't perform anywhere near as well. So actually, you actually kind of need to understand how to structure this and put it together. So you need to kind of be an expert in AI and also in the type of content that you're creating and the platform that you're going to be sending it to. And it tends to be slower to be going through a chat interface as well to be able to do that. Then you've got AI tools, and some of them might be good, but many of them, they're actually really just raw chat GPT, where with just the kind of a nice interface and some features which sound good, like, hey, brand voice, all of these different things, but they're not so good. So if you look at I just brought it up here. So from this content DNA document, which we looked at just before, this is what came out for us when we did it for AmpiFire. Okay. And so, for example, it's got what we believe that others don't, industry myths that we reject. Okay. Part of our core philosophy. So this information, these opinions, okay, is something that we hold and that we mention in our content frequently. Okay. So we we will be able to now with this make sure that this messaging weaves its way into our content more regularly, and that ultimately then makes our content different to everyone else because these are opinions that are unique to us, unique to our viewpoints, are unique to our experiences, and adding your own experiences into the content, whatever it is really, really helpful. Okay. And that's not the same type of thing which you'll get when you go through a brand process with these other tools is they'll ask you a bunch of questions. They won't correct you. They won't push you in the right direction. It won't reject certain things. And you end up then leading the tools to create bad content. Okay. But level three here, and just to clarify, when it's an AI tool, one of the key differences as you move from level one to level two is that level two, you actually have a workflow. Okay, so one of the advantages that they can have is they have a workflow. So you're not just working with one chatbot. They could be working with multiple AIs. They could be going through a very smart, specific workflow to do that. But quite often, that's not the case. It's what they should be doing, but it's quite often not the case. There's a few examples which are okay, but generally it's not done that well. Level three is where you have algorithm expert AI that uses multiple different AIs at the same time, working through a very large workflow and performing different tasks. So level three is where you've got essentially an entire AI team that's working on the project. So for example, there's a difference, say, between a blogger who produces a blog and say, a major newspaper that will have several researchers, several writers and editors who work on a piece of content. And so this is kind of the same thing with AI. You've got several specialists that work on all of the different things to uh, give you a very, very powerful flow. All right. So I gave you an example of a level one process, which we did with Cloud here, which came out significantly better already. So you see that this is an advantage. You're going to get a copy of the instructions on how to set this up. It takes about 5 minutes inside of Claude. You could do it inside of ChatGPT, although it won't produce quite as good as Claude. Claude has an edge over ChatGPT when it comes to content. Um, I'd also recommend that you use the Cloud Opus model. All right, so here you can see that I'm using the Opus model, right? It's more expensive, but it is more effective if you've got very large set of instructions for it to follow. It works significantly better. All right. So you have this one already to use. That one's for free. You can use it with Cloud. You can use it with ChatGPT. So you can already create, at the very, very least from attending these sessions, be able to create articles very, very quickly using something that's better than ChatGPT. But also just briefly, I'll show you here, we also use ourselves, this is uses our own process and technology. Okay, so I don't run this company, but I'm a stakeholder in this. And you can see that it produces very, very detailed pieces of content that's structured in a certain way. And you will see, for example, and if you go to say the AmpiFire blog and you read some of the content on the site, you will actually recognize that it has a very similar format, if not identical, to what you see produced by this platform, WordForm, which goes through a very, very smart workflow. And again, this is a relatively low cost tool where you can create really highly professional content very cheaply. So if you see here, like how to auto post Vimeo videos to Instagram, here a new post, you'll see that this follows the same kind of format as you see produced here by Wordfall. Okay. Right? And this thing can create images, right? So it creates a featured image. You can add additional images in with AI. You can choose specific sources. You can use your DNA document, okay, your brand DNA document to improve the content, right? And you can just edit this, and then you can also just hit publish, and it can publish to your website. All right, so it's a nice, quick workflow, saves time, and essentially does what I've shown you in cloud, right? This process to an exceptionally high level with a lot more instructions and steps to do that. Okay, so that's one way, for example, that you can create text content. And another one, for example, is our Ampcast platform, right? Which does all of the formats, including the blog post, right? So it will create a news article, okay? And you can see here, we've got a great topic. Okay, this is a type of buyer question that people will ask searching for a certain product. In this case, with it being a face cream that doesn't contain a harmful chemical, you've got the very detailed blog post here. All right, it's also come up with a podcast. All right, so it's a conversational podcast that it's created. You can't show you this because it's already published. Um, or yeah, and also it's created a slideshow. It's also created an infographic of the whole thing, and it's also created a video. Okay, and so to create all of these pieces of content takes about 20 minutes. I'll just play this one real quick here so you can see how the video, for example, comes out.
The burn means it's working. In the 2000s, skincare was basically burning your face with several products. Girl, please. Skincare shouldn't feel like torture, and you definitely shouldn't be that red after it. And while we've come a long way, some products still use harmful ingredients like hydroquinone. Think rashes, permanent skin discoloration, and more. So next time you grab a new skincare product, check the label and make sure it's hydroquinone free. Because the burn doesn't mean it's working. It just means it's burning your skin.
All right, so this is a short style reel for like TikTok, for YouTube, okay, on a bio topic, and it's super smooth, right? If we were to go through, and we'll show you a deeper demo of this so you can see how it all works and kind of like our overall strategy. But like this is really, really effective. And so we see these very niche videos doing well And so, just to give you some examples here, I think I've got some up and ready. Let me just see if I can grab these for you real quick. All right. But first, I'll show you, just first of all, the idea um, of doing this, right? So this is Stacy was on the call yesterday. I'm not sure if she's here today, but she's done this, and you can see that, she's getting views. Her channel is on educational toys, and her audience is, dental clinics, schools, and places like that. So it's a relatively small audience who would, bulk buy educational equipment and toys. And she's put out some videos, not many, right? And you can see them spiking and getting some views, right? You can see that her organic from Google has drastically increased. The direct traffic has increased. She has been doing more ads at the same time, all right? And so you can see she's getting organic from Bing that's increasing, organic from Pinterest, which is increasing, and also a big increase from ChatGPT, right? As well. You can see that her podcast is getting listens. And remember, this is a very tight audience. And so, of course, it's not a big audience, but it's high value. They could be buying, like, kitting out their entire office. And you can see here, the content, the videos, and the infographics here going out on Pinterest as well. So she's doing really great stuff here. And it's not even posting daily. I think it's posting about twice per week, and maybe even about once per week. Okay, so not even going fully on this. And so, we see this sort of thing all of the time. And so, like, I'll give you another quick example here. I'll just bring it over as a screenshot to show you. So let me just bring this up. Just like examples of like simple short videos that actually do end up picking like quite a few views. And so here's one uh, right here, which I'll just bring up on screen and show you. So again, an AI video here, and I'll just play this one as well for you real quick, and we'll also look at the views that it's got too.
Is your scalp constantly irritated, itchy, or flaky? That's a huge warning sign. The problem is likely hidden in your everyday hair products right now. The key to recovery for a sensitive scalp is actually simple: clean care. Many shampoos use sulfates and fragrances that damage your scalp's natural barrier. Instead, look for calming ingredients like aloe vera or argan oil to protect and heal. And it goes beyond products. Avoid tight hairstyles to let your scalp breathe. This isn't just about stopping irritation, it's about actively helping your scalp heal. Treat your scalp like you treat your skin. Go clean to see genuine recovery.
All right, and so this has had 1,500 views. Okay, so it's on a channel that isn't managed properly, that doesn't have huge amount of subscribers, but still, the shorts are able to perform. One of the reasons it doesn't work so well is they're kind of filling it with kind of random content. That's their choice to do that. It's not the quite the right way to do this, but still, the shorts are still performing and building an audience for them. And we're just seeing that gradually, as they continue to do this over time, the views get higher and higher and higher, right? And we're not chasing viral content. So you might be like, well, Christie's only had 1,000 views. I've seen YouTube shorts with millions of views. Okay. But it's 1,000 targeted viewers who are interested in buying the product is worth way more than like a million viewers who are just kind of like being entertained by a funny video. So what you're really trying to do across social media, and we're going to talk about this a lot tomorrow, is actually building out niche channels. Okay, building out niche channels, being focused, and we're going to talk specifically about the YouTube and the social algorithms tomorrow and how you can optimize the content as well for those platforms. Okay, so this is, what you want to be paying attention to, and just also recognize here that this is about putting out content every day. Okay, so if you're putting out content every day, you would expect kind of this linear graph here where you have one piece of content, the next week you've got 7 pieces, 100 days in you've got 100 pieces, and so it would just gradually just increase over time. But initially your content will underperform while you persuade the algorithm and you build the trust and you do the promotional aspects of it by publishing in a lot of places. And then gradually you'll see that it just shoots up and picks off. So that's why you'll see also this same pattern in the case studies that we give you. And when you hit this tipping point is when you can get like the 10, 20, 30 50x return because the traffic just keeps on building up and building up over time. Okay, so this is really, really powerful stuff, and it's just a case of publishing every day. Okay, and so you already have here, just to get yourself started with articles, we're going to post this in the Facebook group in the same thread at the end of today's session, so you can set this up yourself should you want to at least have a simple blogging system in place that you can use. All right. Word form is another option that is pretty low cost, but we're going to show you here what we do now with Ampcast, where we create all of this content and then post it in a lot of places so that you can see exactly what we're doing for our clients in our own case studies. So Jay, you ready to take us through this? All right. And so just to let you know, there will be an offer to join Ampcast as well. At the end of this, we do have a limited number of slots, which we open up every month. Okay, we're not a platform, and this isn't a platform that's publicly available. You can't go to our website and buy this. We're typically using this. We've got an entire team of writers who work with our system. We work with brands one-on-one, larger brands. It's an expensive service, and we are able to get massive results because we have this platform, and it's our advantage. But we do bring in a handful of agencies, okay, and a small amount of small brands who can't afford our higher priced hands-on agency service to test this out to be part of our community, right? And we learn from you guys who are using it. Okay, you learn from us, and we're building up this multi-channel community here where we publish content all over the internet, and we're rapidly developing this, and it might be public sometime in 2026, but right now this is still behind the scenes and under wraps. So if you want to check this out, Jay, you ready to take us through?
Yeah, absolutely. You ready to rock and roll? Yeah.
Yep. AI titans have destroyed easy traffic for the average business.
This isn't just another update. CTRs are dropping by over 50%.
It's happening so fast that yes, people may not adapt fast enough.
If you make content, things are about to get dramatically different.
Things are going to be very different now.
We will have more supply of content than we've ever seen before.
You got to optimize for the different platforms out there.
32% of consumers are now using social media as their primary search engine.
Free traffic has literally gotten a lot harder, and paid ads are costing more and more.
How big is your online footprint?
How do we get visible on all these platforms? How do we be omnipresent?
Which I think today, if you're doing stuff, you have to do it in a cross-platform, cross-format way.
We're going to use generative AI as well, and so you're going to have to be better.
In 2025, showing up in search isn't just about your website anymore. It's about creating content that's findable everywhere your audience is looking.
Right, so there we have it. Organic traffic from absolutely everywhere. It's the only way, and the results are absolutely epic. So check this out. Boom.
old stuff's not working anymore, and you have to be AI first company now.
I sold $85,000 worth of amps in 48 hours.
His site is being found by AI and recommended. I'm like, this is crazy.
In 30 minutes, changed my whole life and destroyed my existing PR person in-house. Like, I'm excited about that.
I literally trashed everything else. I'm not doing anything except for this.
I can tell you, people are thanking me up the wazoo after I'm done with their calls. I go, thank you so much.
He's paying $9,500 a month for, like, we're completely fixing his business for him. I have like this 4-month window where I'm like, screw ads, let me just build up his organic.
That the done for you that they offer made my shit look like absolute dirt under more shit. I was phenomenally blown at the awesomeness of how the AmpiFire team writes.
I believe the recipe is a killer.
Yeah, I went to their office and pulled it up on the screen and showed them. And then I logged into my Ahref account and showed them, the graphs.
Studied a lot of marketing. I've taken a lot of courses. I've tried a lot of things. It's kind of frustrating. I signed up with you guys and it made sense from the beginning. Now I know it works because it just delivers what is promised.
Because he's like, I was done with the game, like the SEO game, the content game. And he's like, this has literally made me excited again.